So good evening, everyone, and welcome to our council meeting this evening. Today is Tuesday, October 28th, and this is meeting number 14 so far this year. A note to members of the public that your cell phones should be shut off, please, out of courtesy for others. Council too, in case you've forgotten. Please stand if you are able for the singing of O Canada tonight, presented by Smithville Christian High School. Thank you. So before beginning this meeting, I'd like to make the following announcements. Number one is that the public may submit comments for matters that are on the agenda to jpaylove@westlincoln.ca before 4:30 on the day of the meeting. Comments submitted will be considered as public information and read into the public record. Thank you, Kevin, for closing the door. This meeting is being live streamed as well as recorded and will be available on the Township's website. And as always, we'll start our meeting with a land acknowledgement. The Township of West Lincoln, being part of Niagara Region, is situated on treaty land. This land is steeped in the rich history of the First Nations, such as the Hattaway-Wendourong, the Haudenosaunee, and the Anishinaabe, including the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. There are many First Nations, Métis and Inuit, from across Turtle Island that live and work in Niagara today. The Township of West Lincoln, as part of the Regional Municipality of Niagara, stands with all Indigenous people, past and present, in promoting the wise stewardship of the lands on which we live. And Councillor Chichok, you have the opening petition this evening.
I do, Madam Mayor. Thank you very much. We gather together here today, intent on doing good work. We seek to represent fairly and well those who have given us this task. May our efforts be blessed with insight, guided by understanding and wisdom. We seek to serve with respect for all. May our personal faiths give us strength to act honestly and well in all matters before us.
Thank you, Councillor. I'm going to turn to council members this evening and ask if there are any changes in order of items on our agenda. And seeing none, I'm now going to ask about if there are any disclosures of pecuniary interest or conflict of interest. And again, seeing none. Okay. Item number 6 on our agenda always refers to the opportunity to address items on the agenda by members of the public. So as per our procedural bylaw 6.7, there shall be no comments from the public permitted at council unless A, a specific appointment has been scheduled, or B, an item is included in the other business, communications, or appointments sections of the agenda and relates to a matter which would normally be dealt with at committee. Are there any members of the public present who wish to address a specific item on the agenda? And I know you have an appointment, so I know that that's not you, Mrs. Simpson. And Kevin, is there anyone online who wishes to speak this evening?
Not seeing any, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you then. So that does take us to the appointment presentation. And Mrs. Simpson, you are first. So there is a presenter chair. Well, your name is on the appointment. Are you going to do most of what it's going to?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we will share, if that's okay. Sorry, I didn't realize that when I did the submission that I had to include both of our names. So.
That would be normal if you were to come back. Then we need, okay. So if there are 3 or 4 presenters, whatever. There's only one chair, so perhaps you start, and then,
It's fine, we can make it work. I certainly apologize that I didn't put both of our names on it,
okay,
so-
is there, there's a spare chair there.
That's okay.
Yeah, there's a spare chair.
I'm gonna stand, if that's okay, so you guys can see me, because if I sit, you probably won't be able to see me very
Okay.
well. If that
And the camera is catching you, and the microphone is catching you. Maybe it could be just tipped a wee bit.
works. How's that? Is that better?
Okay.
Everyone can hear me? Okay.
Okay, and it's not so much us. We could hear you without a microphone, but of course it's being recorded and live streamed. So I have to get the okay from the back, and they say okay, so we're good.
Okay,
So go ahead, Mrs.
perfect.
Simpson.
Okay, well, thank you so much for having us today. My name is Grace Simpson. This is my husband, Tyler. And we're here to talk to you about traffic safety on South Chippewa Road. Okay, so our community concern is really around cut-through traffic from regional roads, resulting in speeding and ultimately this unsafe road. And what we're really looking for is we want to preserve a place for families, for farms, and for safe roads for our community, which is really similar to the conversation that happened, I think, 2 weeks ago when we discussed the Road Safety Action Plan and the consultant came to do their presentation. Okay, so for the purposes of our discussion today, we're specifically talking about South Chippewa Road. This is an area between Regional Road 2 and Regional Road 14, and there are approximately 35 residences on this stretch of road. Want to add to that?
So I think, sorry if I get in front of the mic here. I think a lot of times some people think, South Chippewa might be the only means of access through a particular area. But we just want to highlight that this road is encased in regional roads. It's cut through drivers' choice to select this road. Often it potentially represents an opportunity for them to go faster, get to their destination faster. But we just really want to hammer home that this road is encased by regional roads. There are many other options than cutting through this road on a driver's path from A to B.
Okay, so in terms of the current situation, so you're kind of aware of what's going on this road. There was a traffic study done by the Township that showed kind of from a Monday to Thursday, there's about over 900 vehicles that use this road. Then from Friday to Sunday, almost 1,100 vehicles. If you kind of compare that to Rural Road 2 or Rural Road 14, they're at about 2,100 and 1,800 vehicles. So I think the emphasis is that this road is being used kind of as this cut-through route by non-residents and making the driving conditions not safe. So when we look at kind of the daily vehicle count from the observations and from the data, really what's driving this traffic is morning and evening commuting traffic. The current posted speed of this road is 80 kilometers an hour, but the 85th percentile, which is what most people are using this road as, is kind of between 92 and 96, with max speeds up to 128 kilometers an hour. You can see the delta when there's farm vehicles that are driving on this road, which typically have a max speed of like 40 kilometers an hour. So there's a lot of opportunity for conflict between residents, cyclists, people using the road for their own family business, and then people using the road for commuting. People are using the road for a lot of different purposes. There's a lot of an opportunity for conflict.
I think one of the things, whether we talk to town staff, certain counselors, even to the consultants that we've engaged, is this notion that if we reduce the speed limit on the road, we've all of a sudden opened up our opportunity for litigation against us. That's not necessarily the case. I mean, you still have to prove that that reduction in speed resulted in, say, the accident that occurred. You can't just walk into, the courtroom and say, hey, you lowered the speed limit, you're therefore by default. I also like to point out, like my wife talked about, you have this road used by majority of farm vehicles. You already have that big delta in terms of traffic speed. Lowering the speed limit would actually bring it more in alignment with the current farm vehicles that are using that road.
Okay, so we're talking about how we're helping to drive change and partnering with the community. So just kind of a highlight of how we've done that over the past few months. So in April, we got the historic traffic data and had updated traffic counts taken, which is where the information's from today. We engaged in May Niagara Regional Police to look at the speed enforcement on that road, and they noted that the township is responsible for implementing those traffic calming measures. We've met with the mayor and the CEO and the director of infrastructure to discuss some of the concerns and a potential pilot on that road of moving that road to 60 kilometers an hour. Kind of as you extend into Rural Road 2, there is a stretch that is 60 kilometers an hour, and then our stretch kind of changes back to that 80 kilometers per hour. We heard that the pilot wasn't going forward, and instead our road would look at being included in the road safety action plan. And then we have met with our neighbors. So we spoke to the residents on the road. We got a petition. We talked to our neighbors. They had lots of the similar concerns, lots of ideas, lots of engagement for a lot of people who've been on the road for decades, and some of their families have been on the road for even longer. And nearly 90% were either supportive or they were not opposed to implementing any sort of traffic calming measures. And then, as you know, we attended the last town council meeting where the road safety action plan was being presented to learn more about what that process looks like and how we can continue to engage in that. Okay.
So just kind of want to highlight, how vehicles are currently using this road, why they're currently using it in this manner, don't know, but we get quite a bit of traffic that'll come off Regional Road 65, proceed south on Regional Road 2. For whatever reason, instead of continuing south on Regional Road 2, they'll cut across South Chippewa and then go south on Regional Road 14. It's actually a longer distance for them to travel. Maybe they perceive they can drive faster. Again, we don't know why they're doing this. Whereas if they continued along Regional Road 2 to the same location, it's only 8 kilometers. You're winding up in the same location. Why they're cutting through South Chippewa, we don't know. This is also why we've spent far too many evenings at this intersection of South Chippewa and Regional Road 14. The cars that come along South Chippewa and proceed east, I would say 1 in 7 maybe continue on South Chippewa. These cars are turning left or right on Regional Road 14. They're not proceeding through on South Chippewa Road, and the road, that portion of the road east of Regional Road 14 gets about 1/7 of the traffic that we get. They're not getting 900 cars a day. They're not getting 1,100 cars a day on weekends. It's just us with this perceived cut through. Additionally, if they're coming west on Regional Road 65, they're going to go south on 14, and again, for whatever reason, cut across west on South Chippewa Road. Certainly, there's the opportunity to continue on Regional Road 65, go south on Regional Road 2, end up in the same location. The path in red is slightly longer, but again, if we had corrective measures in terms of proper speed limits that encourage drivers to stay on regional roads, that path in red would probably be just as fast as the path in yellow, even though it's slightly more from a distance perspective.
Okay, so we've gathered ideas from our community, from other reports that have been published, from other townships, and kind of the summary when talking to people and talking to different consultants and looking at different reports is it's likely not one thing that's going to make any single difference. It's likely a combination of measures that is needed to drive any sort of meaningful change. But some of the community suggestions that were shared with us is looking at reducing the speed to 60 from 80, looking at all-way stop signs at intersections, particularly Rural Road 2, where kind of there's this 3-way stop and we see cars sometimes kind of pause there, and certainly the speed there.
Just the thought behind that is if you're slowing down drivers from a speed perspective, but you're also slowing them down from having to physically stop at certain intersections with a stop sign, they're likely going to take another route because, again, the main goal of this cut-through traffic is to go as fast as they possibly can to get from point A to point B. So if you introduce measures that slow down traffic, they're likely going to take another route, which in this case would be the regional roads.
Yeah, we've had suggestions of no turn signage. Some residents shared that there used to be no truck signs on this road, and that they'd love to have those roads back, installing bollards or rumble strips or strategic landscaping to encourage lane narrowing. So the community and the neighbors had a lot of different ideas in terms of what they're looking to see. And again, there's no single solution, but they certainly wanted to share that there's a number of different ideas that could be cost effective to implement within this sort of area. Okay, so our ask is to have a counselor bring forward a motion. You can write to Google and you can ask for our road or any other road, I guess, to be removed as that mapping route. We're happy to provide a draft of what that letter could look like, but this can help reduce that behavior on that road. We're also looking for town staff to implement a 60-kilometer-an-hour speed sign and then stop signs along the road, or support the recommendation for the road to be added as a pilot road during the upcoming Road Safety Action Plan, where certain roads will be selected and then certain ideas will be tested on those roads that could be implemented within the broader community.
I think that the Google one is particularly important. We obviously wrote to Google, being the general public. They declined our request to remove that road from a mapping route. Where our barns are located on our property, they're very close to the road. We get a number of people pulling in there and parking. And when I go over and talk to them, often they're like, hey, sorry about this, but for whatever reason, I've lost my route on my mapping service. We've planted a number of trees along the roads. People will come by, say, hey, my mapping service went out. I'm going here. Do you know how I get there? This could be a really effective measure, like talking 10, 20, 30% reduction in traffic if you just ask Google to stop routing people on this road.
And it's free, which is always nice. And thank you for having us today. We certainly appreciate the opportunity to share this with you. We continue to be and want to be engaged in the Road Safety Action Plan and are really looking for how we can help work with the town to implement practical solutions to see safer roads within our community.
Okay, thank you very much for your presentation. Are there any questions from members of the council for either Mr. and Mrs. Simpson? One question.
Sure,
Okay,
yeah.
Counselor.
The presentation, thank you very much for that.
You're welcome.
Is saying that 90% of the petition voted for or against.
They voted for or neutral, which means they were not against solutions.
Oh, they didn't, that is not how it reads here.
Okay,
It
so
sounded
sorry.
like
I
it was
apologize.
just 90% completed the
Yeah.
survey.
So either a total of 90% were either supportive or they were neutral.
And so they were 90% of the entire population of the road, or of what?
Of the road.
Yes.
Of that
the
one road?
Yes,
Okay,
yeah. So of
thank you.
those residents that we were able to
36 houses, yeah.
reach and get in
Okay,
contact with.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll save the rest for our discussion.
Sure, yeah.
Anything
else?
further from anybody? Okay, well, thank you. So you do know, of course, about the study that's being done. And
do.
so the fact that you now have presented this publicly, it becomes part of the public record and certainly will be part of then the consultation process that goes on with the public. That doesn't mean that when it comes up that you can't offer more information, but at least this information that you've presented will be part of that record. So thank you for taking the time to do that.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. We appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we have a second presentation this evening from our CAO. So the CAO presentation this evening is an update on just a little over the year, 13 months to date from the time that he arrived and the work that's been accomplished. And so it actually was CAO McBride's choice to do this publicly because we felt that people who listen in or who actually want to watch this meeting afterwards would be very interested in knowing the kinds of things that have been accomplished in the last year and a bit. So over to you, Mr. McBride.
And it's on. There we go. All right, well, good evening, Mayor Gannon and members of council. I'm really pleased to have the opportunity to be before you this evening to review the work that has been done under your leadership over the past year and a couple months now. It's really easy in the work that we all do. We move very quickly. There's always a lot going on that we don't always stop and look back and take stock of the amount of work that has been completed. And when we do this, we find it's actually quite significant. And I think that this is a good moment as well for the staff of West Lincoln really to take a bow at the work that they have done on your behalf to move this municipality forward. So tonight, I will try to move through this quickly. I'm not going to read everything in the PowerPoint because, of course, I trust that you can go through that on your own and read it at the granular level. But just to give you a sense of what's been accomplished to date, there are a number of significant corporate transformation projects that are either getting off the ground or will be getting off the ground in the next year. And that's going to impact how we do work more efficiently, and how we work together going forward into the future. And then kind of that flows into some organizational goals that we're looking at administratively on continue to modernize service delivery in West Lincoln. So our 2025 accomplishments, as you may remember, actually maybe just to explain the slides first, these slides are broken down into departments in the Office of the CAO, and just to help council get a sense, after the restructuring that we went through a year ago, the functions of each area are listed just to help you as a bit of a legend as to what department is doing what. And then the box, of course, on the other side talks about the work that has been completed. So my office last year led that organizational restructuring. There were a number of departments rearranged, staff were put into under different leadership in different areas to try to better align with the service delivery that we were looking to achieve in West Lincoln. A lot of that had been informed from conversations with staff, conversations with council, input from the public, to try to make sure that we were working the most efficiently. So that was a significant piece of work that was done, and the investment that council made into those resources, both in finance and in setting up a new department and funding a new director position, has really let us expand and take a better look at how we're delivering service, how we're being more efficient within corporate services, but also in the new department that Ms. Summers is leading is really trying to activate and move that community center forward, which has been a goal for council of some time, and I can get into a little bit more of that later. We've done some work in trying to formalize how the strategic planning process is going here. We've done a reporting to council in June. There were some suggestions from council on how we could improve things. And later in this presentation, we will actually talk about some of the live reporting that we're going to have on the website starting tomorrow with the accomplishments and the progress that council is making against the targets and projects that were laid out at the beginning of the term. We're also beginning a performance review process for all of staff. So at the end of each year, every staff person within the leadership next year will expand to union staff as well to make sure that everybody has a performance review done. Every employee has goals and performance expectations laid out for the year coming. And that is going to help us when we get to the end of each year in the STEP program in assessing whether or not those steps are warranted to be granted to each staff moving forward in their own professional development. And finally, something that council had certainly talked about with me about a year ago was the absence of some rigor, good policy around human resources. Things like vacations, when vacations were being taken, the amount of vacations being banked. We needed policy around short-term disability, a disciplinary policy on how to make sure that staff are performing up to expectations, and also a non-union wage review that had been completed previously. Some of that needed to be looked at to make sure it was being properly implemented. So there's been considerable work that Ms. Janine Buffo has been working with me and the senior leadership team in getting accomplished. And this is all some of the organizational work that the community doesn't always see, but critically important to the organization being able to perform for council. In legal and legislative services, we had a by-election pretty quick after I arrived last year, which was a significant effort in moving forward. We moved into a new legal services delivery model with the General Counsel joining our team, formalizing that role. There was a new animal control bylaw. We've passed a series of delegation of authority bylaws to make it clear the functions of administration, the functions of council, and one bylaw now that we can go back and reference. So when council needs to make changes, that process has become much more efficient. We've seen increases on our website traffic, our social media traffic, and marriage licenses have been introduced as well, which was something else on council's strategic plan for the term. Growth and sustainability. This is a department that largely works in a conveyor belt in building permits and planning permits and applications and keeping everything moving. In the midst of all of that, we looked at a new planning service delivery model with planning services being passed down from the region to the local area municipality. The Hughes grant and the $4 million that the municipality was awarded for water wastewater infrastructure was a significant win for us earlier in the year, and we're having that groundbreaking next week, I believe it is, to celebrate with the development industry and the region a significant project that's going to move West Lincoln forward and help with some of the revenue issues that we have presently as we get some growth going. We've introduced new developers roundtables. We've recently had economic development roundtables that's on your agenda later this evening as well. Advocacy for natural gas expansion, that's something that you're going to hear as well in economic development roundtables, was something that our business community is in desperate need of. We've advanced the Trees for All program, planning and building fee review, and also the Parks and Recreation Master Plan, which we can talk about a little bit later as well. Corporate services. This was a department that was created to help manage internal services in a more integrated manner. We've got the IT Strategic Master Plan, which is one of those transformation projects that is just getting off the ground right now and looking at how are we going to be delivering service later and taking a look at what can we do to mitigate the need for new staff through automating service delivery and being more efficient in how we serve the public. We've advanced the budget process this year. The West Lincoln Memorial Hospital contribution was finalized and the debenture was issued. There's new fiber optic cable to the Welland Library. We've had a massive Windows 11 upgrade across the organization, in addition to a significant upgrade into Microsoft 365. Those two projects together have been a huge pull on resources this year, and I know that we're all happy to be on the other side of that, and already there's easier ways of communicating and working together that this technology has allowed us to do with Microsoft Teams. In community and productive services, again, trying to avoid reading through the list here for you, but there's a significant amount of work that's being done. Most significantly, I think that now that we've got that Parks and Rec Master Plan or strategic plan in place, that is going to really guide what we're looking at to modernize service delivery at the community center. Already, I think you're seeing more programming being considered there, better advertising going on, and we had those very successful line dances that took place during the IPM, the International Plowing Match, back in September. We're reviewing recreation fees in an attempt to make the community center better at cost recovery as we work towards reducing the amount on the levy the community center requires to operate. There's also been significant investment into the fire service. We've had the fire service pumper that's been replaced. And what else can I jump through here? The Harvest Routes has grown from 12 programs in 2024 to 20. And we're offering the community center arena non-prime ice rentals have gone from 7 weekly hours to 12.5 weekly hours. So even without getting through the complete review of the service there's some really good metrics in there and how we're expanding what we're capable of doing at the community center. And then infrastructure, of course. The long list of capital projects that is keeping West Lincoln moving. This council has shown its commitment to asset management and keeping our infrastructure in West Lincoln up to date and spending the dollars at the right time to keep infrastructure up to date and moving forward in this municipality. So a long list of projects that have been going on there in Mr. DePaula's area. So some numbers. This term so far, 22.6 kilometers of paved road, 10.4 kilometers of gravel roads converted, 123 kilometers of asphalt edging, approximately 9,000 potholes repaired, 130 new and replaced traffic signs, 41 winter events, and 308 kilometers marking painted. So when it's asked what's been going on this term, certainly there has been a lot of work that's been done under this council's leadership, and certainly something that I think council can be quite proud of in what the leadership that you have brought this term to date. A little bit again on the corporate transformation projects. There's a lot that we're still doing, like I mentioned earlier, on how we deliver service. Central to this, and council is going to be more involved in this as we move forward over the next couple of months, is the IT strategic plan. That has been out to RFP. We now are reviewing the proposals and are close to awarding the work on this plan, which is going to be looking at an AI strategy for West Lincoln, automating the service delivery that I was speaking of before, and really seeing what we can do to rethink service delivery in multiple areas. And as part of that, as well as the technology that council is using, new iPads are on the way that we'll be updating everybody's platforms in this room as well as we get into this new technology. The official plan is another transformative project that's on the horizon here. This is an opportunity in next term to talk about with the community, where do we want West Lincoln to be? Where do we want it to grow to? How do we want West Lincoln to look? These are all really important conversations that lend themselves to really great community discussions. And as we go through the year and the lead up to the election, these are the kinds of things that I think it's useful for the community to be talking about. So there's a natural alignment here to the work that we want to do in the official plan with the discussions that are going to be happening in the community next year. The Parks and Recreation Master Plan, we've spoken about that. We're going to need to be looking at the DC bylaw and how these get funded, and Ms. Summers is going to be working at costing that for you next year. The Fire Master Plan is in need of a refresh as well. So we'll be looking at the state of the equipment, the capital, what the operating and the volunteer forces look like, response times. Those are also major transformative things. We did not hit all the marks on the last Fire Master Plan. This time we're going to do a more careful job at costing that and creating a multi-year strategy for council to make sure that it's hitting the objectives laid out there. And then finally, again, and this is something that you're seeing in your economic development report, not just the development industry, but the ag industry, you name it, from the economic development roundtables. We were hearing time is money, you need to make a more efficient process, and this is something that we'll be looking at going forward over the next year. Organizationally, I continue to speak about the technology and automation. That is key. That IT strategic plan will become a theme, and we hope to have recommendations for council mid next year as to what we could begin looking at to move West Lincoln forward in that regard. The service review of the community center and looking at stronger cost recovery models for the West Lincoln Community Center and really activating that as a community hub. The long-range planning, and something that I think is going to be part of that conversation through the official plan is really trying to refine and crystallize and clearly tell West Lincoln's story. And what is the West Lincoln brand, and who are we? We need to be able to say that more succinctly than we can right now. And a lot of the conversations I've been involved in the community and within this building, we talk about, well, what West Lincoln is not. And we need to be more forthright, clear, and confident in what this municipality is about. Be able to tell our story better, and hopefully the official plan gives us one of those vehicles to move things forward. Finally, around people and culture, we need to make this an organization that people want to come and work at. When people talk about where do you want to work one day, the Township of West Lincoln needs to be one of those places that come to mind. So that will be working with staff, working with the union, having conversations about how do we make this a better, more vibrant place to work. We're going to be looking at succession planning, and also a lot of the work that SLT will be doing next year is looking at a one-team approach as opposed to a number of departments working together. That's going to be a theme that your senior leadership team will be working on next year. And then the dominant project over the course of the year that we'll be getting more and more into is the election preparations and execution, which is a mammoth task that Legal Legislative Services and our clerk's office will be leading. Lastly, tonight I just want to go back to strategic planning. One of the comments is that we needed a place where we could go online to point to the work that's being done, and being able to, if residents are saying, well, what have you done this term? here's now a place that council can point residents to see in real time the status of all of the projects on the strategic plan and comments as to where the projects are. Now, this is really small, not showing up too great, but tomorrow afternoon, this is going to be going on to the website live. And what you've got is a status legend on top. There's green, which is on track, yellow behind schedule, red at risk, blue is completed, and purple is upcoming. And you can drill down into each of these strategic areas that council selected for work this term, between the first one being building a safe and connected, caring, active community, championing strategic and responsible growth, enriching our strong agricultural legacy, and then the final one was advance organizational capacity and effectiveness. You can click in there and you'll be able to go in, and then it breaks it down into each individual project, and you'll be able to see where are we with each one of these. And if there is an issue in delivering it, if it's been slowed down, there'll be a narrative there letting everybody know what's going on and why things have slowed down. And already since we published this, we need to go back and update again where we're at with some of these projects. But tomorrow afternoon there'll be a press release, and this will be going live to the public to update on where we're at. Lastly, at your desks, there is a printout, I believe, that we are looking to include in the water and utility bills in January. That is a means to update on West Lincoln Council News on where you're at with all of your capital projects and some of the important operating initiatives and things that you have done under your leadership to move this municipality forward over the course of this term. So, Madam Mayor, thank you for the opportunity tonight. Hopefully I didn't go on too long, but this is impressive work that this administration has been doing, and the staff that work for you here, and they all deserve to take a deep bow. This is a tremendous amount of work and effort that has been going on this year on your behalf and on the behalf of the citizens of this great municipality. Thank you for the time.
Thank you, Mr. McBride. So I think that we are going to. Okay. Well, we were going to keep specific questions. You have something general that you think the public needs to be aware of, but we are going to save specific questions for our closed session.
Okay.
We did talk about that at the last meeting.
Yes, yeah.
So do you have a general question?
General question, yeah.
Okay.
It's more of a statement.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Yeah.
I guess through you to the CEO, it's going back to that slide. If you go back 2 slides or 1 slide there, that one there, I think this is going to be an excellent resource for the community. It's not so much about what we achieved this term, but a lot of times the question I get, and other members of council, and the mayor gets, is where are my tax dollars going? And to be able to have something they can physically see, because some things go unrecognized, unrealized, and I think this is going to be a really good way of providing a transparency. And even accountability, but just having that information available, I think is going to be very beneficial. So I'm grateful to see that, and that's where we're at, and hope that's successful for you. But thank you for your presentation and all you've done, and staff. Hats off to you guys because you did all the hard work. So,
That was a good general comment. Well done.
Thank
Another general comment would be great. Councilor
Thank you, Madam
Trombetta.
Mayor. Yeah, there's no doubt that a lot of work was put behind the presentation, but we have this sheet in front of us as well, which I guess is an
And
addition.
this is the one that's going out in the mailing.
Okay, and that's what I was going to ask, and
Yeah.
that's the general question that I wanted to ask.
Oh, that is the question, okay.
Because I did see this, and this is what I was looking for that goes out in the mail. Is this going in the tax bills, Madam Mayor, or is this going separately?
Whatever the
It's going inside the tax bill.
January
The
mailing.
January mail. So that's exactly when we had that meeting earlier, Madam Mayor.
Exactly.
That was the messaging that I'd like to see get across, and, something like this will actually help show, especially in the tax bill. So I'd like to say thank you for this. You guys heard my concerns, and I appreciate this getting put together. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Another good general thing. Good. Councilor Maychak.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First of all, just a quick comment. I've said this publicly before. Only been here now almost a year, but having worked on staff in Hamilton, I just want to sing your praises and the senior leadership team. From what I have seen over the last year, you do an incredible job. You show how much you care about this community, and it's well appreciated. My question is quite general. You're relatively new as well. What's the one thing that you're most proud of in terms of accomplishments, or what you feel you've achieved with your team in this last year?
That's a great question. I think, I guess I'll avoid a long story around it. I was gonna, I didn't know, we're up against the Jays game here.
We are.
That's the last thing I wanted, ever getting frustrated around that with me. But it's really the team and the organization that we're building here, and seeing people grow into the new roles, some of them created through the organizational restructuring that happened, seeing the department teams come together, and the spirit that we've got here in West Lincoln, and the pride that staff here have who live and work in this community, and the dedication that you've got in this building and in all of our buildings is second to none. So the thing that I'm most proud of is the organization and seeing the growth of every member of staff that I've had the privilege of working with.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Shelley. Thank you. Councilor Bradley.
Thank you, through you, Mayor, to the CAO. Congratulations on all the accomplishments that have happened this year. It is great for us to be able to see this, review and the, detailed work that happened. Certainly cannot be represented in such a quick presentation. But I know, and as you have acknowledged, that it's not just you or the senior leadership team, but it's everybody from you on down to the person who is just vacuuming those carpets. So we absolutely appreciate everybody who contributed to this, and it's going to be great to be able to see an ongoing summary of the things that are happening within our community. Thank you.
Councilor Rayner.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Trooper, for your presentation. You've been here now for just a little over a year. I continue to be impressed by how you attack things, how you go into things, how you look at things, how you assess things. You're constantly looking for ways to improve. You're driven, which is what I look for. And the only way that we're going to get to where we're going is we need somebody that sees the future and works with the people to get there and has those skills that can work with the people to get there. And I feel very, very comfortable that this council has made a tremendous decision in moving you into West Lincoln, and I look forward to where you're going with this. Your presentation tonight, in this very short period of time you've been here, is exhausting, the amount of areas that you've been working on and what you've accomplished, and I look forward to seeing it continuing in that direction. And under your leadership, I feel very comfortable that this township is in very good shape for the future. I thank you for that. If I can make one other comment, Madam Chair, those 4 pictures that I see there on the public reporting, the third one I love, and I know Councilor Chichok's going, oh no, and it says, enrich our strong agricultural legacy. If you wouldn't mind sending a copy to the head guy in Queen's Park about that, I would appreciate it, because we love our agriculture here. We don't like subdivisions. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Councilor Chichok, yeah, Mike, your microphone.
Well,
Thank you.
actually, Madam Mayor, thank you for the opportunity, but I really did think that my colleague next to me was going to talk about the community center, because he saw a picture and said, whoa, is that what it looks like? So, and it was loud enough that I think some other people may have heard it. So with that, I'll move on to the fact that, Mr. McBride, thank you for bringing this forward, and to echo your comments, which it took a team and you're building a team. I would compliment you on your work in leadership, but I also would spread that, as you said, it is a team approach, and that's exactly what we have. We always have had very dedicated staff. I've been surprised. But it was kind of like Sleepy Hollow, and Rip Van Winkle was needed to awake the group, or to be awoken. And certainly, they've seized your leadership and the opportunities to make this even better a group. But what has been eye-opening is with the number of studies that have happened, a map has been produced to show where we need to spend more time and what we need to spend more time on. Some of them will be mistakes, and we'll have to correct them. And that, I fault no one, and I expect that we will all share together in whatever it takes to get everything done. And mistakes are only a test of how good the other stuff is. So I think that this is a very good achievement for the year that you've been here with the people you've brought on, but the mountain of work ahead is what I worry about, and I certainly hope that you people get a chance to balance your lifestyles, but I applaud you on the work that is yet to come.
Thank you. So CEO McBride, come on back to your proper seat, please. Thank you very much for your presentation. I think you've heard some very fair comments from members of council. We certainly all appreciate the work that's gone into both tonight's presentation and what you've done since you arrived, so thank you. So now that seat's all warmed up, Councillor Witteveen, we're time for regional council remarks, please.
Hopefully not too warm.
Well, I don't know, there've been a couple of people there. Your turn.
I enjoyed the presentation myself, so I was going to ask Justin to send me a copy of that presentation so that I could have it at hand. I'd appreciate that. So good evening, Mayor, members of council, staff, and public. I'd like to start this evening by highlighting some updates from the past month. As most of you have seen, there's going to be changes to the waste front, and this has to do with the non-eligible sources, which are recycling in BIA and DIA areas, in which the contractor through the province is not obligated to collect recyclables as of January the 1st, 2026. This has been very frustrating for council, and as we see this as an important service for our downtown business. Plenty of lobbying to the provincial government and by our Greater Niagara Chamber has fallen on deaf ears. So this coming month in November, Public Works meeting, we will receive a full report on the options of to collect on our own or not. This will have an associated cost that we must be careful consider during our budget process to stay on our goal for the 2026 budget. I will update council in my next report when further discussion and decision has been made so that we can take the proper action. And later there, that day, that was our Public Works meeting, and our Public Health meeting. It was kind of interesting. We were presented with a Niagara Community Substance Use Strategy. So just the current state in Niagara goes like this. Niagara has more current drinkers than the provincial average, and it is most seen substance in our emergency departments. Cannabis-related emergency visits exceeded Ontario's rate. In Niagara, there were also 111 deaths due to opioid toxicity, but that was for 2024. So I just wanted to say this is probably reflective of our community as well. So the strategy recommends that we build resilience in children, youth, and families, and that we promote harm reduction principles broadly to reduce stigma. We strengthen partnerships across all sectors: health, education, justice, and community services. Improve access to treatment and services. We need to work together to make sure people that face barriers get the appropriate help they need. And lastly, to support safer communities for everyone through outreach to connect people to services and foster belonging. All this is important to us as we build strong communities to support those with the greatest needs. So I just wanted to say that I've experienced the outpouring of generosity in this community through supporting fundraising events to support those with needs in our community. And lastly, I had the opportunity to go to Queen's Park yesterday to delegate on behalf of the Niagara region. This was Niagara Week at Queen's Park, which is an annual event that which we participate in. We met with Minister Todd McCarthy from the Minister of Environment, and in which he was also filling in for Minister Surma, in which he's off with maternity leave, and Madam Mayor, she'd had a baby girl.
Oh, thank you.
So,
I asked yesterday if we knew. Thank you.
So we discussed infrastructure for mainly the South Niagara wastewater treatment plant and also funding. And I thanked him for what we received to expand our update, a portion of our infrastructure project, and mentioned to him that there should be more funds allocated to smaller rural municipalities. So he was he was listening on that. So it was a great chance to advocate on our behalf. So I had the opportunity to thank him for it. So the other delegations that I attended yesterday were on Consolidated Housing Master Plan, a two-way all-day GO service, and then others went to the Municipal Modernization Program and highly supportive housing, and of course police funding. We all know that that's one of our greatest budget pressures is the cost of funding our police. So we were looking for I guess equal funding to support that part of our budget, and we all know how important the police are, as in traffic safety and making our community safer. So all in all, then we had the evening in which the CAO trooper and Madam Mayor attended and had a chance to lobby our MPPs and thank them and express the needs that we have for our community. So that's the end of my presentation. So if any councillors have any questions on my report, I'll gladly answer them for you.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Witteveen. Are there any questions? Councillor Rayner.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through to our regional councillor. A couple months ago, Albert, they changed the people at the landfill site that we have, and they brought in a new crew. It went out for tender, and another group got it at a much lower rate, and the results have been dramatically different at that facility. That facility does a lot of recycling, as well as regular garbage pickup and everything else. And it changed overnight. The facility as it was run prior, the guys that worked there and the girls that worked there, if there was items that were brought in, and they said it happens quite often, that are absolutely in mint condition, and it's a crime to throw it in the garbage for recycling when it could be recycled for somebody to utilize it, and then when it gets to the point where they can't use it anymore, then take it to the recycling because it's broken. They would put it aside. And there was lots of things like battery-operated John Deere little tractors for the kids and wagons and everything else. And they would have that aside, and people would come there to get rid of their stuff, and they would pick up this stuff, which I thought was a very nice way of recycling, because we're talking about recycling. If you got something, they said some of the stuff even comes with the sticker still on it from when they bought it from the store, and they don't want it. It's a crime to throw it in the garbage to have it smashed up when somebody could utilize it. The ones that have taken over on September 1st are very strict, and anything, regardless of its condition, they were instructed has to go in to the bin, and there's nothing put aside. To me, in the time that we're in right now, where recycling is so critical and we're trying to get people to get on board, it seems criminal to me to go to this direction now, where it's wholesale slaughter of anything that goes into the waste management facility, and stuff that is perfectly good to be recycled is no longer done because we've got a hard and fast new rule that came in with this new group that started on September 1st. I just think it's a crime. I'm just wondering, is there anything you can do, or is there anything, it's run by the region, and I asked them about it, and they said, we were instructed clearly, anything that gets dropped in the bins in this yard becomes the property of the region of Niagara. I said, you know, that's not one person, right? And the guy looks at me and he said, well, that's our instructions. Nobody can touch it. Once it goes in the bin, you can't touch it. And I thought that is such a cold and callous way to look at a time when recycling, and people don't have a lot of money, and times are tight, and people are going to food banks, and here they go to the garbage, and they've got 2 or 3 little kids, and they don't have a lot of money, and all of a sudden there's a beautiful toy sitting there, and they say, no, you got to throw it in the garbage because that's the rules. Is there anything that can be done to bring back what, and it wasn't abused, and it wasn't, I know it's a recycling place and all the rest, but they cared enough to see stuff that was perfectly good utilized by people who may not afford to have bought it in the store. Is there any chance that we can initiate that program like it was before?
Well, thank you for the question through Madam Mayor to Councillor Rayner. I wasn't aware of that the contract had come up and a new contractor was operating it, but I'm aware that there's the Grimsby Benevolent Fund has a depot right at the entranceway, and so it's I don't think it'd be staff's responsibility to pick through and choose what's usable, not, but it's up to the individual that goes to the landfill site to bring it and drop it off there if they see that it still has useful life. So I think that option is there. I don't know which counselor sits on the CLC.
I do.
Oh, so then you're really asking me the question?
Yes, because I wanted to go one
And you're
level.
on the Citizens Liaison Committee?
I would like it to go
Counselor
one
Rayner,
level
and
higher.
So Councillor
I
Rayner.
sat on that committee for 25 years, so I would think, I will look into it, and I would appreciate, through you, Madam Mayor, that you may ask and bring those concerns in your committee, and then I will see them come across my desk.
Correct.
as
The reason I'm
minutes.
asking you is because I wanted to move above the council level. I wanted to move up to the regional level because you deal with the regional at the region. And this was apparently driven region down. So I wanted to get to the top guy to deal with the top issue. I understand what you're saying, that there is a place for recycling there. Yes, there is. But they also had stuff, and they didn't pick through it at all, Albert. The people just said this was a nice item, and they just left it beside the bin. And the guys that are working there, well, this is good or it's not. They just left it there, and the next person comes along and they picked it up.
Okay,
I mean,
so
they weren't
Councillor
doing it on
Rayner,
purpose.
You've made that point, so we understand that situation. But I think Councillor Witteveen is correct in that you are our represented. You represent West Lincoln on that committee, so that would be the starting place. And through those minutes, it would get to the regional committee. So I think jumping the queue is not the answer here necessarily, especially if the GBF still does have their depot, where every resident who takes something that's still worthwhile can actually leave that there for them to resell in their store, which actually feeds their.
I understand what you're
so-
saying, Madam Mayor, but it was clear to me that the directive came from the top down. So I thought the best way
Well-
to deal it is go to the top first and not go to the other way,
Well,
because they didn't go the other way. They didn't ask if they're going to change process or
So this is-
procedures. Nobody, when they came on board, they totally scrapped what the previous group was doing for years.
Okay, so you've made that point, and you've made it very clear that that's your feeling about that. Councillor Witteveen knows, but I am still going to say to you, generally speaking, things go from the committee through their minutes to the regional committee. So I think that you still need to bring that issue there if it's going to be corrected. At the top, they're going to hear about it as well, but I think you need to do your part as
No,
well.
I
So,
follow
thank
you.
Councillor Chichok, you had something you wanted to add.
Actually, Madam Mayor, thank you. And I do believe that Councillor Witteveen, if I might, through you to Councillor Witteveen, did I hear you say that you do get the minutes from the CLC after their meetings, and that goes up to the regional committee?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Chichek, yes, I sit on the Waste Management Steering Committee, so I'll see the minutes there, and we will also see them at through our Public Works correspondence.
Thank you. So a louder voice, just to have our representative go to the CLC meetings and make his comments there, and then that goes up that way. And then this council could then make that comment to you, and you would see it and then invoke some sort of charity. Thank you for that point. One other, and that is that I have many a time seen people dropping off, and I think that there's the answer we have for the recycling information. I know people drop off a lot of stuff at our community care. It's in good condition, and it's sold once, twice, or three times around for everybody's kids to share. But if we advertised that that drop-off was at the discretion of the person pulling in, because oftentimes I've gone in and thought, oh, I should have brought that. No, I'll take the community care. But I would not have known about that drop-off had it not been through our own council. And I think that many people out there it would be useful to them to know that if they want to take it, they can drop it at the gate. They're not charged, and in fact, the useful life is then taken out of the piece, the material, rather than in fact asking. I think that would be inappropriate, is to have a service organization scouring the garbage to be bringing it back out to put it there, and that those people would then be chastised for perhaps picking out things that they wanted to take home. And I know that that's against the rules and regulation of the people attending to the recycling and the dump. So maybe something we could do, or CLC could undertake, would be to put out a mention somehow, somewhere, in our newsletters, et cetera, to ask for people to consider dropping off usable things at the gate before they enter to throw it in the garbage. Thank you for that.
Councillor Riley.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. I was just going to make probably a very similar comment there. I sat a few years on the Citizen Liaison Committee. I think at the time, my opinion of the staff there is they were going above and beyond. I think what was expected of them, I know there's a bicycle recycling program, and part of their strong efforts in trying to find a second home, third home for some of these items was successful, because that's actually what gave that landfill site like a tremendous amount more life. Like, they were able to divert so much more. So I hear the councillor's concerns that if the new mandate is just put it in the cell, that landfill site's going to fill up faster than the speed of light there, and we're not going to be in a good situation there. I think the better question, councillor, in all due respect, is maybe just asking who the right person or body at the region would be to have a conversation with. I think that might have created, or at least provided a little bit more clarity. I realize you wanted to kind of air out some stuff there, and I think that's part of the confusion of it all. But now I think it's on the regional councilor's radar, and hopefully we can. I would certainly be interested in having a conversation myself with whoever needs to be. If I want to join at this CLC, I can. To ensure that's not lost, because that is such an important asset that they had for many, many years that turned, I'm trying to remember right now, but what they were expecting to be 20, 25 years life, like doubled. They were when I was on there, they were barely through cell 4 of 8 cells, so I don't know where they are now. But anyways, I just wanted to mention that my understanding is that they were going above and beyond, and hopefully the new contractors kind of get on the same page.
That's fine, thank you. Okay, I think we'll move on, Councillor. I think we've hassled that enough for now.
Madam Mayor, can I make one additional comment? In just observation, through you, Madam Mayor, to the councillors, with the new contract, it might have stipulated in the contract these were the rules, and the contractor prior to this were going over and above, and there may also, we have to think, some health and safety and liability concerns, and maybe this new contractor is trying to figure out the liability of the site and how it functions. So I would go as far as they're doing what they were hired to do. The other people may have gone over and above the call of duty, and that's not a requirement. It was maybe taken upon themselves to do that. So that's what we can seek out clarification of that, because a signed contract is a signed contract with guidelines, and I would think that that's what they're adhering to. So thank you.
So back to the suggestion of sort of a message coming from the municipality online or whatever about encouraging people to make the stop at the GBF kiosk that's there, as opposed to, putting good merchandise. So, but then again, we're back to it's up to the individual who's going to the dump, right, to make that call.
Sometimes people don't realize it's worth it.
Well, that sometimes happens. Okay, so we're going to move on to confirmation of minutes, council minutes of September 22nd, 25, and Councillor Maychak, you have that resolution, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through myself, that the minutes related to the September 22nd, 2025 council meeting and the recommendations contained therein be accepted.
Thank you. And someone to second that? Councillor Riley? Are there any questions or comments on those minutes? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk? The vote will be in front of you. Okay, and that resolution carries. 9.2 is a public meeting under the Planning Act to the minutes of October 14th, 2025. And Councillor Chichok, you have those?
I do, Madam Mayor, and we'll need a seconder for that.
Mm-hmm.
I think I got to read it first. You're right. Moved by myself, that the minutes relating to the October 14th, 2025 public meeting be accepted.
Thank you. And the seconder, Councillor Trombetta, you said that you would do that? Thank you. Are there any questions or comments regarding those minutes? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk. And that resolution also carries. There are no communications this evening, and that takes us to the mayor's remarks. Hopefully, they're not as contentious, but they are a highlight of what's happened during the last month. Since our last council meeting on September 20, that time, when meeting various local business owners, there have been many extremely positive comments made to me regarding the township's position of taking the lead in this area to support our local business community. September 26th was our Seniors Active Living and Information Fair with over 200 people in attendance. The final report after the event has been submitted, and we are awaiting our final payment after satisfying the conditions of the grant. Our local age-friendly advisory committee did an excellent job of organizing and running this event, and I sincerely thank these volunteers for their efforts. Out of respect, that same day, our flags were lowered to half-mast in acknowledgement of the passing of Regional Chair Jim Bradley. Jim was a kind, fair, and greatly respected politician for a great many years, sitting as a Liberal MPP representing St. Catharines, long before becoming chair of Niagara Region. On September 29th, we raised and then lowered to half-mast, as appropriate, the Every Child Matters flag in recognition of both Orange Shirt Day and National Truth and Reconciliation Day, which is September 30th. On October 1st, we celebrated the hard work and dedication that so many various staff members demonstrated in our hospitality tent at the International Plowing Match and Rural Expo. The T-shirt donations and the winning of the beautification contest meant that we were able to present a check in the amazing amount of $4,500 to West Lincoln Community Care to help them support those in our community in need of such support. Friday, October 3rd, was the day selected by Hamilton Health Sciences for the councils of Grimsby, Lincoln, and West Lincoln to each have council tours of our new West Lincoln Memorial Hospital. Director of Community and Protective Services, Cynthia Summers, Councilors Chichok, Maychak, Briley, and I were able to attend, and we're all very much impressed with this new building. Our community will be very...
To the October 20th, 2025 Corporate Service Committee meeting, and the recommendations contained therein be accepted. And 2, that the confidential...
Okay, seeing none. That vote is in point 3, which is the Infrastructure Committee minutes from October 14th. And Councillor Riley, you have those.
I do, Madam Mayor. Moved by myself that the minutes relating to
Thank you. That resolution carries, and that takes us to 13.4, Community and Protective Services Committee minutes.
The mayor moved myself that the minutes relating to October 20.
Councillor Chichok, second those. Thank you. Any questions or comments on those minutes? Okay, seeing none. Again, Mr. Clerk. And that also carries. Good. So there are no reconsiderations this evening, and there is no notice of motion to rescind anything, so that will take us to 16 other business. Is there anyone on council who has something? Councillor Maychak, I'm going to start with you on your side. Any remarks this evening? Okay. Councillor Bradford?
Just a quick mention about the last week being Public Library Week in Ontario. You had mentioned that in your report. There was the launch of the new logo and branding for the West Lincoln Public Library, and the social media accounts have been updated, their website has been updated, so just an encouragement to the community and council to take a look at all the exciting things that are happening at the West Lincoln Libraries.
And are you going to give a report about Friday evening? I was sorry that I wasn't able to be
yes,
there, but was it good?
They wrapped up the week with a really fun trivia night where Councillor Chichok and I represented Ward 2 extremely well, coming in third place, and yeah, we did ourselves proud.
Good, and I'm so glad that you were able to be there. That's good. Okay. Councillor Turnbull, anything?
No, Madam Mayor.
Okay.
Just going to say,
Riley?
go Jays go.
That's important, for sure. Councillor Chichok, anything this evening?
Well, you know, I was going to talk about the trivia night, the generosity of my co-ward mate to allow us the opportunity to hone our trivia skills and be better at trivia, both at council and at future trivia events. So if we do bore you with things that of historical nature that are happening in Smithville, it's because we too are trying to help the library in putting out new opportunities for people to come see the library and enjoy things other than just the books. It was a wonderful evening, and
Well, I hear that it was a West Lincoln employee who actually was on the winning team as well. So
Okay, Madam Mayor, you can stop now. We came third, we have the coffee mugs.
I'm
for
glad
Rita.
you came third. That was wonderful. But I did hear about the first place, so she was quite excited. Councilor Rayner, anything this evening? Nothing? Okay. Okay, so there are no new items of business, and that will take us to confidential. And Councilor Broderick, you have a resolution to take us into confidential this evening.
Moved by myself that the next portion of this meeting be closed to the public to consider the following pursuant to Section 239, Bracket 2 of the Municipal Act 2001. 18.1, Mayor Cheryl Ganan, CAO Performance Evaluation. Applicable closed session exemptions. Personal matter about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employee. 18.1, Mayor Cheryl Ganan, CAO Performance Evaluation.
Thank you. Someone to second that resolution, please. Councilor Maychak, thank you. Do you want to put it up again? Okay. All right, so we will vote to go into confidential. That carries. Okay. All right, so thank you, everybody, for being here, and we're going to ask you to vacate the room, please.